Why howdy partners, my name is Jonathan Dormbush from IGN, and today I'm joined by John Ryan. Hey John, how are you doing?
I'm really good.
We're here to talk about the Red Dead Redemption 2 new gameplay trailer. There were a ton of details.
It's so good. It's a huge 6-minute gameplay video. If you haven't seen it already, you totally should. It's over on IGN.com, as well as a big, huge, all-encompassing breakdown of all the stuff in it.
So you can see all of the biggest details in the game, the big gameplay changes and everything there. We want to talk about some of the really small details in this trailer you may have missed that are really awesome and really cool. They may not drastically affect the game, but we're both really excited about them.
Oh man.
I can tell how excited you are. The first thing I want to get to, though, is with the first Red Dead Redemption, there was a lot of talk about how wonderful the horse butt physics were.
There were really good butt physics.
Yeah, it was very impressive. The hindquarters of the horse were just going all along perfectly. It was very
like the
realistic.
fact that as you galloped, you could see like each muscle in the leg move.
Yes, yeah. So it was very realistic, very cool. There's more cool horse stuff in this game that we get from the trailer. Yeah, so why don't you tell me a little bit about what we see specifically in the trailer?
So I mean, this is one of those situations where the tiny details about the horse stuff are actually big details for gameplay stuff too. So like, one of the first things that you notice is you've just got a super dexterous range of movement. Like you can basically do dressage or horse dancing with the horses because they've just spent that amount of time saying, you know what, we're really going to make this detailed. And you basically, like, you kind of, I don't know if it's like increasing your horse's dexterity score, but basically the idea is that the better your bond with a specific horse is, after you spend time with it, after you care for it. We see Arthur brushing his horse at one point in the gameplay video, and which is great because there's actual like dust particles that come off of it and stuff, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But the more that you take care of the horse, the better your bond is with it. The better your bond is with that horse, the more that horse can do for you, and the better the relationship benefits are. So, like, if you're in combat, it will, you know, have a harder time getting scared or frightened and running away from gunshots or explosions or crocodiles, as we saw. That was one of my super favorite just little details where one of the most horrifying video game crocodiles I've ever seen.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
Just like, and like the eyes in the moonlight.
I want to know more about him, though. I want to know what his deal is.
About the crocodile?
Yeah, I want to know what his game is.
He ate somebody's hand a long time back.
Oh, okay.
They tried to chase him down for a while on a pirate ship, and then he just ended up in the swamp.
Perfect.
There it is. It's his full backstory.
Asked and answered.
But you'll see in that section, like, the horse kind of freak out a little bit, but you'll also then see Arthur, like, immediately, like, kind of rein him in and start guiding him back onto the path.
Yeah. It feels very natural and very realistic.
Yeah.
And it's also adorable because horses are wonderful, majestic creatures.
Yes.
It's cool to have them be so realistic in this game.
Yeah, except for the fact that, you know, they can have horrible fates befall them, and if that happens, then you have to start all over again with a new horse.
Hopefully that never happens to good old Horsey. That's my horse's name.
Horse's
Yeah,
name?
I'm very unoriginal.
Good, that's good.
Anyway, I want to move on to the next thing. So Mud. Mud is really good in this game.
11 out of 10 Mud.
Yes.
2018.
Yeah, best Mud of 2018, I think we could say.
I say Mud just as like a broad strokes term for the incredible level of attention to environmental detail. Yeah. Specifically in this case, Mud. If you remember that moment where Arthur kind of gets kicked out a window and like falls off the porch into a mud, and then he gets up for the street fight. If you freeze, like, frame by frame look at it, which I did because I'm a huge nerd, as he lands on the ground, the mud spreads out in like an Arthur-shaped hole, and then as he proceeds to like roll over, get up, slip in it a little bit, get up again, it all moves around his arms and legs realistically, which is just like, I think it's emblematic of Rockstar's extreme attention to detail as a whole. Like, you notice throughout the rest of the trailer, like the lighting effects on that oil lamp as they're riding through snow, sort of passing through each snowdrift blowing through the wind, like the snow sticking to their coats as you ride through it. It just blows my mind that they're not only able but willing to invest in that level of minute detail. Like, I mean, really, really taking that concept of, we want you to inhabit and feel fully immersed in this world, to the point where it's like, you know, the first time I watched it, I didn't pick up on that. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, moving mud.
Mud.
But it was one of those situations where you look at it and it's just like, oh, this is a real thing that's happening.
Yeah, it's incredible. And there was a moment where you're walking through a swamp too that I was just like, oh wow, this is gorgeous, and there's so much going on there that I can't even see on the first look. Going back to the town moment that you were talking about a little bit, I want to talk specifically about the crowds and the way they seem to naturally gather as humans would when a fight breaks out.
Like, if you hear somebody get kicked through a window, for example, you're gonna be like, what's going on over there? And you get that in this. Like, the NPCs, like, you know, there's a big chunk of this gameplay video dedicated to showing, you know, how we interact with NPCs, and how that can sort of shape your journey through this world. But the other cool thing is the NPCs will also interact with us on their own accord.
Yeah.
Like, so if a fight breaks out, for example, watching them all like slowly, and it's not like a one big thing where you get kicked through and then all of a sudden there's 15 people just standing around you.
Yeah.
Like, a couple of people on the next building over are like, oh, hey, let's go check that out. But then, like, you see them slowly trickling over as more and more people sort of like, it's less about, oh, there's a fight over there, oh, there's a crowd over there, something must be happening. And again, it just kind of kicks back to that level of immersion and that sort of just everything being of the same world.
Absolutely, especially when I think we hear so many games talk about how every NPC has this huge day-night cycle. It'll do this, and you can find it along the path at this time and figure all these things out. But to see them naturally act as you would expect humans to when a fight breaks out or when something commotion happens in town, it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking a little bit about the fights, though, there's a really cool thing you noticed about in terms of how gunplay works in this game.
Yeah, it's something that I'm super curious about because, you know, we know the inventory system, going back to the horse stuff, you kind of have to use your saddle to keep the bulk of your stuff. I don't know if you can have all of your stuff, like a whole weapons wheel's worth of things on a horse, or if it's just like, I've got 4 weapons, I can put 2 of them on me, 2 of them on a horse. But regardless, there's a moment where you see Arthur, he's holding a shotgun in his offhand, he uses his revolver twice. That animation sequence is really spectacular because it's just so fluid, looks so natural. But also I'm super curious about the mechanical side of that too. Like when you're running down a hall, say, you know, with a shotgun, if you are running, can you not, obviously you can't like point and fire as you're sprinting, but potentially you could pull out a pistol as you're running as well.
Yeah.
So like maybe it's one of those situations where like instead of fully putting it away, you just have to quick swap and then it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna hold this now.
Yeah, there's an interesting complexity to it. Obviously, they'll have to sacrifice some realism in that nature to make sure the gunplay is still fun.
Exactly.
But it's cool to see that level of detail too, and just the way that he's interacting with weapons. Because so often in games, the weapon just disappears into a pocket.
Well, I mean, in Red Dead 1, very famously, you have 19 weapons, like all with it. It's the GoldenEye thing of just pulling a rocket launcher out of your butt.
Exactly. You don't have one there?
I mean, only on Tuesdays.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Moving on a little bit about what the characters may have on their person. Specifically, I want to talk about clothing.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
again, we're going into the level of detail, but it seems like every little bit of the clothes they're wearing are individually rendered and behaving separately from one another, down to like the straps, to the shirt, to the belt, to everything.
It seems that way because they are.
What?
No, I mean that's one of those things that you'll notice if you again pay stupidly close attention, like I end up doing. Yeah, I mean, if you'll see, like, there's a couple of close-ups where it's like you'll see him pull out his gun and it'll focus sort of on the gun hand, and you can see his knife on his belt and his gun holster, and then like the actual ammo belt itself kind of slinging back and forth. But I mean, if you go through other parts of the trailer, and you'll see this in the other 3 trailers that they've released already as well, where like the tassel coming off the back of his hat bobs around realistically, like the suspenders that he has over his shirt. Like the shirt and suspenders on any other character model would just be a one-piece thing going over it, but instead it's like Arthur's body, and then there's Arthur's shirt, and then there's Arthur's suspender, and then there's like the sling that his gun is on.
It's crazy.
It's fucking crazy. And it again, like these are just such insane little bits of detail in just a 6-minute gameplay demo that I can't wait to see how much we can find for ourselves once we actually get our hands on it in October.
Can play the whole game, see how it's behaving in the real world. I'm super excited to see all of that. John, thank you for pouring so much of your time into looking at this trailer for us.
Thank you for wearing that very fine hat earlier.
More than happy. We're going to talk about that later.
Okay.
If you noticed other cool things in the Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay trailer, be sure to let us know in the comments, and we will have so much more leading up to Red Dead Redemption 2's launch in October on PS4 and Xbox One. For everything RDR2, you're already in the right place. IGN.